This is the Cash Considerations podcast with three guys from Pittsburgh, Philly, and Boston talking sports. God help us all. This is the show. Take it away, Dave.
Welcome to the Cash Considerations podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 18th. We're back on Tuesday. We were on Thursday last week. We're moving the show around, but we're here to talk everything that we talk: football, basketball, a little bit of hockey. We might mention baseball, but we got NFL football playoff games. There's only 6 games left, or seven. I keep getting it wrong. They played 6. There's 7 left total in the NFL season, and that's what we're here to discuss. We'll get into gun and all that other stuff. I am Dave Sharapan, the Sportsbook Consigliere at SportsBK Consig on the Twitter. The show is at Cash Consid Show on the Twitter. For those of you that listen and reference it, it's Cash Considerations is the entire full name of the show. Seem to be getting that a little bit confused, but again, we're all confused. Well, who's not confused is the boys here with me today, still down in South Carolina, contemplating whether he's actually going to go back to the Wayne Manor up in Boston in the cold weather that's waiting for him. Man, CH, you got no idea what's waiting for you when you get outside and feel that cold temperature after getting a little bit of that southern temperature and that southern cooking. He's Carl Hascall at Carl Hascall, Hascall on the Twitter, the coordinating producer, social media manager, email guy, cashconsidshow at gmail.com, and obviously co-host of the show. Carl, how are you, sir?
Oh, hey, hang on one second. Oh, geez, the Bills just scored again. Sorry. How are you? How you doing?
We're glad to have you.
It's been a long weekend here.
We'll get to that in a second. You took the time again, hasta luego, in the email today. I saw that. You also put this combined scores. Can you reference the combined scores that our teams lost by this weekend? Was it?
Yeah, let's see. It was 120 to 53.
Son of a bitch. That was bad.
For those of you who may not be that familiar with football, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. But who is good, looking good as always, with the backdrop up in the Buckhead Studios outside of Philadelphia. He is Dan Alexander. We call him Newbie. He's at Newbie Talks on the Twitter, the executive producer of the show, as well as the other co-host of the show. You got the Sixer stuff on. Where
Sixer season?
Eagles stuff, sir. Is it a put away like my Steelers stuff?
It's not put away, but it's definitely been relegated to one side of the closet. Also, my buddy, he had a Wentz jersey he had for a long time. He dropped it off here. He said, I couldn't bring myself to take it to a thrift shop or anything. So it has now become another ornament here in the Buckhead Studios. Happy to be with you. It's 5:00 somewhere. I'm going with my favorite beer of all time this week. And the listeners, if you're watching on YouTube, this is an 11% ABV beer. So by the time Cousin Cooter comes out, I could be half in the bag. That's how we're doing it this week, Dave. Pour some out for our teams.
That's right. Well, we're gonna try to keep it moving and keep it fast and keep it, because we got less games, we got more shit to talk about, but we're gonna keep it tight. We're gonna keep it moving. Again, thank all of you for listening to the show, watching the show on the YouTube channel. We're up over 600 subscribers. Go push the subscribe button there. It's Cash Considerations Podcast. Search it up on the YouTube. It comes right up. You get to see this comedy show that we do every week that we have so much fun doing. And it's been great to see it grow. We're almost at 2,300 followers on the show account on the Twitter. Newbie's cooking stuff and putting it on the TikTok. There's dogs. Listen, everybody talked about the dogs all week, boys. Newbie went and cooked the dogs, wrapped them in bacon, and only one dog got there. It was the San Francisco 49ers, and that was the one that felt like was the public dog of the week, and it got there. Quick takeaways before the Bills score again. I'll start with you, Newbie. We'll go to you first. The Eagles came. They obviously forgot the start time was supposed to be 1:00 Eastern because they didn't really start playing until after halftime. They were stuck 31-0. What was your just overall global view, and then specifically about your birds.
I mean, the overall view was, if you paid attention all season long, you had a great read on this wild card weekend. I mean, Carl, he had terrific, even just on the show purposes, when we're just giving out our leans and making, our picks on the side and everything, 4-2, we'll get to that in the gun. So it was a money-making weekend if you paid attention all year long. As far as the big takeaway for me, guys, I mean, we could talk about all the ins and outs of the games like every other show is doing. The big takeaway for me is, do we really need the 7th team here? The NFL needs it for television revenue, right? But Dave, the Steelers and the Eagles, they maybe made the best case for not having the extra playoff game. Now, I'm never going to complain about more football. I'm just talking about, as far as this comes from Jeff McClain on Twitter. He's an Eagles beat writer. The average margin of victory in the NFL first round playoff games was 17.2 points. Last year, the first time 7 teams made it from each conference in the postseason, it was only, well, this year was the first year, excuse me. Last year, it was only 8.5. So the parity was way better when you had better teams. Who would have thunk it? That was my main takeaway is, yes, I'll take more football, Dave, but as far as the quality of football, kind of lacked its luster this past weekend.
Yeah, if you had the favorites, you didn't mind it. If you had the totals on people had the favorites cashed out, and a lot of people are looking into setting up LLCs and stuff to start their own handicapping service because they got all the answers. It was that easy. and all the rhombuses and all that quote unquote sharp money bullshit. They all took it down. I mean,
almost like nobody knows shit, Dave. Almost like nobody knows shit. It's like a wise man once said.
Yeah. And how did you set this line at this? And how did you set this line? I even had to hear that shit from Pap. What was the line on the Steeler game? Well, it was open 12.5, went to 13. It closed 11. He said, well, how wasn't it 20? I said, they stink. You always tell me everybody's good after the game. I call it the 2020 club. They're all good after the game. I held out as long as I could, but I went out Saturday in the books in Vegas and I wore the Pat the Patriot hat because I don't have a Bills hat. And I knew that the Pat the Patriot hat was a better option than a Raider hat, which I don't have either. And I knew I was going to be out and about, and all these people were, the book were packed with Raider fans in the first game Saturday. You went to the comedy show. All the people that listen to the show every week, they were like, man, CH is not going to watch the game live. No, he's not. He's going to record it and watch it. The question for you is, how much did you actually watch when you got home and watch that game?
Question. So more to come on this. It might take a minute,
but I can tell you that I saw every play.
Oh,
okay. There's an asterisk there. But I saw every play, and we'll get to that. It might take a minute. It was it's
a good team.
It was tough to watch. It was definitely tough to. Oh wait, they just scored again.
Damn it!
Don't they know we're doing the show, man? Oh man, enough already. Sit on the ball. No, instead they throw the fat guy touchdown and put that one on tape for Kansas City to know they're coming.
Yep,
it's all good. No. Listen, run it up. I mean, they said it in Remember the Titans. Leave no doubt, Herman. Okay, run that shit up. You want to stop it, stop it. If you can't, too bad for you. I mean, that's part of the game on a professional sports level. When I'm coaching the kids, when we're blowing a team out, I tell them, step off the base. Let the ump call you for illegal leaving the base early, and we'll come in and keep the score moderate. So there's a time and place for it all. My takeaway was the favorites look pretty damn good. We'll get to In the Gun coming up here shortly. But we got 4 good football games going on this weekend, boys. And it's Tuesday. There's a lot of people talking about the games. There's a lot of things happening. I don't know how much the lines are going to move. The lines are pretty sharp right now. And, you see it in the props. I mean, we got the wraparound game Monday. That was a shit game too. It was a shit game because the Rams defense was for real. It wasn't like the Arizona Cardinals came and decided that they weren't going to be able to do anything. They weren't going to be able to do anything because Donald and the rest of that defensive line was making Kyler Murray run around like he was, going to get hit every play, which he almost did. And then he flipped the ball like Ralphie in unnecessary roughness when referees were running after him. He's like, throw it. I don't want to get hit. Throw it. And he threw it right to the defensive linebacker, I believe it was, or maybe DB. Ran it in. That game was over. So takeaway was it's done. Now we'll talk about the other games. Before we get to In the Gun, got to mention a couple things. We talk about all different sports, a lot of different things. First thing on a rundown was MLB, Major League Baseball, supposed to start in 4 weeks. And a question was posed very simply. Does anybody care? I don't think so. I'm a little sad. I had a conversation with somebody from the MLB network. I appeared on a couple of those shows, and we're going to get those people on when we actually get a real possibility of baseball starting. But I don't think it's out of sight, out of mind. And I think baseball got to realize that. CH, you're a baseball guy. Like, do you care? I mean, you're down in the South. You got to go back up to winter. Does it matter?
I can tell you during the football playoffs, nobody gives a shit. They're so focused, right? I mean, there's 4 fantastic games this weekend. It's going to take up the whole weekend. You got 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. Are you really going to think about baseball? When are you going to think about baseball? Monday, you got a Monday night game. Today's Tuesday. We're going to recap everything from the weekend, talk about last night's game. Maybe we take a breath and somebody on ESPN says, oh, by the way, there's no progress in MLB. And they just keep right on moving to the next story. Nobody's going to care until after the Super Bowl. And by then, it's spring training and it's too late.
Yeah, I think it's funny because my guys at WinBet, Mo and Alan, who used to do this show, they're the traders there, and Matt Lindeman is also a trader there. They put up season win totals for WinBet for all the teams.
That's ballsy.
Yeah. I was like, you don't even know who's on half the teams. Like, this is pretty strong. And they actually did like plus juice on a lot of them. They're just trying to create action and create a buzz. And I could say this. I don't know if anybody even knows they're there. Like, they haven't done much action on them. Like, I saw one of them over the weekend. I'm like, hey, you guys take any bets on that stuff? He's like, very minimal. So it's out there. Noobs, I mean, you're focused on lacrosse and stuff right now. Baseball isn't even on your radar, right?
No, I'll get excited once it comes around. Opening day is always the funnest thing. But whenever there's this cloud hanging over baseball, it's really just going to permeate through the whole fandom. Like, people aren't going to be excited over it because now it's just, it's millionaires crying about billionaires, crying about millionaires, crying about billionaires. So no tears here. But, hey, some books have posted live odds on the college national championship. So I'm hoping, and this is in lacrosse, I'm hoping they're going to be having some more available lines that happen during playoffs. So if there are, maybe we'll have a little lacrosse corner section here, but something to keep an eye on. I think Georgetown, live team, Notre Dame, live team. There's a little lacrosse sprinkled in there for the non-baseball fans, Dave.
I like that. And you can follow that on your Twitter feed as well with Bet on Lacrosse. That's the show that you co-host, you and Doug talk about that stuff. And I mean, there's going to be a place for it. I mean, there's going to be a place for USFL. There's going to be football in the spring. I'm trying to work with them to try to get the merch. There's some
Philadelphia Stars, baby.
Oh,
official team of the Cash Consideration show.
Philadelphia Stars, the Pittsburgh Maulers, maybe back.
The New England Breakers.
We got 3 teams again. We might be the official show of the USFL when all is said and done.
Reach out to us, cashconsidershow@gmail.com. We would love to be the official show of the USFL when, college football is doing the spring games. We're getting into the playoffs of these other sports, which we're going to get to right now. Before we get to the NBA talk, which is going to be probably very, there might be a song or two there. I don't know. We'll think about that in a second. I just want to mention the Book It Sports app. What's better than winning a bet, doing it with your friends? On the Book It Sports app, you can talk about the game, track your action, and buy picks straight from the pros, whether you like the NFL, the NBA, MLB. It's mentioned in the read, but they ain't mentioning it to nobody else. NHL. Come sweat out your bets with one of the fastest growing communities in sports betting. Start building your following and stand out amongst your friends by downloading Book It Sports today for free on the Apple and Google Play stores. Book It Sports is available for download in all 50 states. You'll follow Trent at Book It with Trent on the Twitter at Book It Sports as well. He's on all the social medias. He's doing these surgical streams. We may be joining the surgical stream parade, boys. They asked if there would be any interest in us kind of going on, maybe giving a play, making a reason why. I said, you know the number. Let's go. So we're going to talk about that, what we can do as far as that goes. What we got to do, newbie, 8-2 in their last 10.
Who's that?
I
don't remember what their name is.
Can't remember.
I know that they always lose before we record an edition of the Cash Consideration show. But can anything jog my memory?
Oh, yeah.
I'm hearing my headphones might be, oh, yeah. It's not just the Buffalo Bills who are scoring again, baby. It's Joel Embiid dropping 30 points again on the road. How about 10 straight for the big guy? 10 straight games going over 30 points. I don't know if you guys saw the mixtape that's been making its way around Twitter of them showing the shots that he has replicated from Michael Jordan and Kobe and Hakeem Olajuwon. I want Joel Embiid to be the president one day, but I don't think he can because he's from Cameroon. So I think that's gonna hold it up a little bit, just a little bit.
It's officially basketball season in Philadelphia. We're not talking about the Flyers, we're talking about the Sixers. JoJo's down to 11-1, people, to win the MVP. Talk about a betting thing. We got to talk about it globally, because we don't know the lines for all the games. Nobody looks at the lines until the day of the game or the overnight lines, which, again, the boys at WynnBET are doing a tremendous job. They're putting up the first line in the world. So if you want to get a little bit of insight into what the lines might be the next day, or where Alan or Mo or Maddie are taking a little bit of a stand, you can see that. And we've traded some texts, not considering myself a consultant by any means, but I tell them, like, hey, Memphis is a little bit light. You guys know, you got to start watching. If you've been listening to the show, told you Memphis was a good basketball team, and them lines were a little bit light. They won all them games in a row, lost, and then smacked the Bulls last night. Sixers, JoJo, MVP, worth a sprinkle. Hey,
worth a sprinkle. But the thing is I said it on last week's show. I still believe it until a move is made, until they get the stink of Simmons off of the team. It's just we talk about the cloud over baseball. The cloud over the Sixers is, Ben Simmons sitting in his room playing video games while everybody else is trying to win games. They need to make a move. This team needs to get a little bit better, or the championship hopes, not that great. The MVP hopes is where the fun in Philadelphia lies, I guess, Dave.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, this Nets team,
fuck them.
They just this hashtag anybody but the Nets that Carl has started. Copyright who, Carl?
Cash Considerations 2021 on that one, but we're going to renew it this year, so it'll be copywritten again this year.
Fair enough. Okay, the Nets got a little bit of bad news this week. If you haven't paid any attention, Kevin Durant looks like he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Something with the knee, something going on. Might be time to fade them at home. Maybe Cleveland is going to be the first NBA team to go over their season win total of 27.5. They have 26 wins already. That's more this season than they did maybe in the last 2 years combined. It's impressive what Cleveland's doing. I watched a lot of the game on MLK Day. They were 4-point favorites. It came down to the last possession side in total. They covered, and the game stayed under. Miraculously, there was no scoring except for 2 baskets or something in the last 3.5 minutes. Those NBA totals will drive you crazy, but there's value. Watch the boys at WynnBET. Watch that first line. Carl, you see Kyrie's back. He seems like he's playing pretty good.
Not bad.
Are you concerned that this Nets team is not going to go away? Are they actually going to win the Eastern Conference?
I don't know. KD being out for 6 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it's going to be, that puts a damper on everything, right?
Sure does. And
yeah, but they're still a good fucking team.
They're very good.
The thing, but you can lose one of these guys, and they're still a very good team.
And they're still very good. But as we saw with the Lakers last year, and we discussed it all the time because we added hashtag anybody but the Nets and the Lakers.
Yep.
Does the seeding matter in your opinion? They're oh, we could just go and beat a 3 seed. We could go. The Lakers thought they could go be in a playing game. It matters, does it not?
I think you want to finish in the top 6. I think you don't want to play in that 7, 8, 9, 10
Hell no.
thing they got going on, right? That's part of it. And then if you can get the 1 seed, great. But I think 2 through 6, I don't think it really matters.
Okay. I think
I'm kind of with CH on that one too, Dave, just because, I mean, sure, maybe I'm a little bit jaded with what happened with the Sixers last year, but I just feel like the whole home court, going through your home court, it's not a best of 1, you know what I mean? Unless it's one of those playing games that CH is talking about. So sure, if it goes to a game 7, having it on your home floor, getting to kick it off on your home floor, it's an added bonus, but I don't think it's as important when you're talking about home field of the NFL, although we're starting to learn that not even that's all that important, Dave. So I think that CH makes a good point on that one, that you don't want to be towards the bottom, but if you get one, great. I don't think you expend yourself just to get that one at the detriment to maybe helping your team down the stretch.
All right. Last little nugget of information. Peralt and I have been discussing this every day on Bostonian versus the Book. This Steph Curry prop has been fascinating to watch, the pricing of it. It was 5.5 for a number of games, and now Steph cannot throw the ball in the ocean. Right now it's down to 4.5, and they're really juicing the under. It's minus 150. I mean, I don't know at what point do you start betting over, but I haven't seen anything recently. To me, as positive it is that Clay is coming back, Steph looks like something is wrong, just based on my perception. There's been no reports. There's been no indications of it. Just something to keep in mind for people that listen and look for actionable info. Watch that prop, ride the under. He's going to light it up at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, but man, that team between them and Phoenix in the West, those two teams look like the best teams, clearly above and beyond everybody else. Utah, thank you for listening to the show. All you people in LA, Lakers and Clippers, more Lakers, but there's Clippers fans too. You ain't winning. Not right now. I'm not as constructive. Obviously, LeBron, as good as he's doing, they ain't going to vote him the MVP. The numbers indicate that, but he needs AD to actually win games. He's putting up some ridiculous numbers, and for an old guy, which he is now, he looks very impressive. So that's it for the NBA talk. We'll move on to the NHL. College basketball, we're not really going to address yet. We're starting to get into it a little bit. I want you guys to just kind of pay attention to the big games of the week and the ratings and stuff like that. But NHL, quick little nugget again. Coordinating producer Carl Hascall puts together the rundown every week for us. So I'm reading it. I promise you, I'm looking at it. It might be 5 minutes before we actually start, but I'm looking at it. The Florida Panthers, though. What in the hell is going on? CH, you're coming back up to north. The hockey season officially starts, you said, when you come back. Florida Panthers are 21-3 at home. And 14 of those wins have been on the puck line. Are we sleeping on this Florida Panthers team? They're in a warm weather climate. They can play.
They can play. I don't know how I hadn't noticed that they were 21-3 at home, which is that in itself is a feat. But when 14 of those 21 games are by more than a goal and a half, they won the last 2 games by a combined 17-2.
Yeah,
at
they
home.
lit somebody up.
They are lighting some people up. I think it might be lightning in a bottle here. It might, who knows? It might all average itself out later on in the season. But right now, that's something to pay attention to. Of course, they're on the road for the next 10 days. So
exactly. So we got to see now. They have a very hard road trip coming up, actually. And
Yep.
Kevin Rogers, who I did the show with this morning on Vegas Insider, pointed that out to me because I pointed out to him. He does some pregame and postgame for the Florida Panthers. So I know he's a hockey guy too. And I mentioned that to him. He's like, oh, this is a big road trip coming up. They're doing the Western Canada swing. And then I think they're actually making their way back to Vegas through on the way back. So speaking of Vegas, the Penguins were here last night. Noobs, you came from Philadelphia when the Eagles played here and you saw the bit of a circus. You didn't get the win. The Penguins came in last night and won. They were down 3-0. Little Consig was sitting with me on the couch with Mrs. Consig, Jessica, and Kendall. And Jessica said to Kendall, who's going to win this hockey game? It was 3-0 Knights. And she goes, the Penguins. I was like, the Penguin? Really? And I looked at Jessica. I go, should I bet it? She's like, she's 7.
She's
I'm
a
like, I know.
soothsayer, though. I
But
don't care
she's-
what shade she is.
She sees the shit sometimes and she just looks at it and gives it to me. Now, she's still smarting from having Alabama in the championship game. You know, she really thought Alabama was going to win.
The elephants, you know, she is 7 after all, Dave.
Exactly. So, you know, she missed that one, but we hit a little in game on the Penguins.
Go.
So we hit a little shot. They came back, tied the game 3-3, won 5-3. Crosby got the empty netter. Penguins are hot, 8-2. Noobs, is it time yet for you to? I mean, because the Flyers look like shit.
Yeah, the Flyers are dog shit. You know, once the playoff picture starts coming into fold, you know, playoff fucking tiddlywinks, Dave. I'm going to find a way to get a bet down on it, and I'm going to be watching it, sweating it out in my living room. So once the playoff picture, I mean, I do produce that Puck Time show on Wager Talk with Carmen Andrew every day. So I hear all the hockey stuff. I'm around the hockey stuff. But for me, it's just tough to get into it when there's still football going on. And, you know, basketball is like my 1A. So there's only so many hours in the day. But I do love myself some NHL once it starts getting into playoff time for sure.
Speaking of McGinnis, I said it today on the Wager Talk show, by the way. McGinnis is 6'5" or 6'6". That dude is big.
I never would have guessed that.
He played volleyball in school. Like, he could jump. He said he could dunk at one point. I don't know if he could dunk now. But
I
like,
think he's full of shit on that part. I want to see him with a rim and see if he actually can dunk. That's what I want to see. But I think the bigger thing out of that, Dave, is when you're doing like these Zoom calls, like you have no clue if somebody is like tall, if somebody's short, like it's this whole entire new world that we live in. Until like I met you guys, I had no fucking clue. I figured Carl was like 7 feet tall just because
I thought he was 6'3".
That's what I mean. He just has that aura about him. So I'm sure that's something that people can relate to. Like now that you only work virtually, you have no fucking clue if people are fat, if they're wearing pants, if they're tall, if they're short. You have no clue.
No idea.
Clue. All about the cropping, all about the angles.
That's absolutely. Well,
I can tell you too, this week coming up, I'm going to a meeting, my company meeting. I'm meeting 350 people that I've worked with for the last year, and I have met one of them in person. So they're going to be all over the place. Some of them are going to be 8 feet tall. Some of them are going to be, 300 pounds. Who knows?
I love it. That's fantastic. You're going to have to make mental notes. That what I do is when I meet someone, I write someone down. I'm like, nice beard, frumpy shirt. Like I write their name down. Oh, like something that sticks in my mind, bald guy, gray hair, whatever, buggy eyes, just something that I'll remember. So CH, you got 300 people to meet. My God, you'll be doing a lot of shaking hands and bullshit in there. Good luck with that.
That's what I want to be doing, is shaking hands in this day.
Shaking hands, little fist bump, little elbow bump. We're doing that now.
Maybe every now and then.
Yeah, we're doing that when we meet people now. Hey, how you doing? A little elbow thing. All right. We got to go there in 1 second. Before we do, I just want to mention the East Coast Sports Investors, www.eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. That's our friend Jeff Dawson, who has according to Google, first page, it's 30 years of sports wagering experience and a number 1 ranked sports investors in the world page. There's no better time to join the ECSI family than right now. You've got NBA, you've got NHL, you've got the run here to the Super Bowl with the playoffs. And again, people, like these games, the numbers are set. The numbers are the hardest time of the year. So sometimes there's no plays. I mean, there just may be no plays, and we'll get to that in the gun. Like, it's hard to feel strongly about a lot of these things without removing the fandom or without removing the narrative and the story. So, but Jeff does it right. He's onto the golf already. Golf season starts, for real. The Hawaii swing is getting over and we're getting back on the mainland. The tournaments in California get going. He does it all. If you still have questions, he says, ask the real Vegas Dave. No, not that guy who's out giving whale plays and all this other stuff. Fuck that guy. Ask me, Mr. Sharapan. There's no I in team, just win and profit. Reach out, www.eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Jeff Dawson at ECSI Sports on the Twitter. I think it's that. It's ECSI. Just search ECSI. You'll find it. All right, newbie. It's that time.
You want it?
Call Cousin Tudor before you're too
drunk. Tudor, get down here. Oh, that's right, Dave. It's time for the most rootin' football segment this year of the Mercer Cyprians Playoff Edition 2 of In the Yeah, now. Let's go, boys. Love it. Love it. And we've been chugging, man. I'll tell you what is worth mentioning. Not that like it matters or whatever. We do this all for fun. We do it so we can give you some great information on these games. You know, none of these plays are official plays unless we let you know, hey, this is something I would put my own money on. But since week 14 of the NFL season, we've gone 500 or better 5 out of 6 weeks. So
Damn.
I kind of alluded to it that we've been rolling a little bit. We also go up to 500 on our unanimous picks. No thanks to those bag motherfucking Eagles. 500 on the year now, and we were in the basement early on. Like, I think we were like 6 games under, like 7 games under at one point. So we've been rolling. CH had by far the best read on Wildcard weekend, whether he was watching them or not, whether he was at comedy shows or not. He goes 4-2 in the gun. Dave and I both are the modicum of, I guess, mediocrity at 3-3. But with some of our non-official bonus picks that we gave out, we did pretty good, and like I've mentioned, our unanimous picks were not too bad either. So, and CH says phooey, if it's not on the spreadsheet, it didn't fucking happen. Let's do it, boys. Another 2 set of games. We got 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. For what it's worth, I think both slate of games are terrific. They're burying the Titans and Bengals game early. 3.5. The Titans are favorites against Cincinnati. As our guy B Howe, you can check him out on 8 in the Box, a Cash Considerations podcast, alongside Sportsbook Consigliere Dave Sharapan. Total is 47 in this game after the Bengals just kind of flex their muscles against the Raiders. CH, since you were really having a read on it, I'll give you first bat at this. Again, our official numbers for the grading on the show, 3.5, total 47. Bengals, Titans.
Bengals. Wow, the Bengals are playing in this game.
I said it twice.
I know.
Totally fixed the Bengals thing.
It's just the beer. You think you drink 11% beer, you start getting names right.
So I was 10 minutes into the show here, and I still hadn't written down my AFC game picks because I have no fucking idea on these 2 games. I feel good about the other 2, but these 2 AFC games, I am so up in the air, especially not knowing, Derrick Henry. I think he practiced today. That's a big swing in this game, right? I think the number is set for Derrick Henry to play. So I am going to go with Tennessee minus the points here. And if he doesn't play, I would probably bet the other way. But as of now on Tuesday afternoon, I'm going with Tennessee.
Yeah, and I think with a couple of these games, the first kind of line in my notes as well is just kind of need more information about this game. And that's what kind of happens, when you're looking at it early in the week. Some people like getting their bets in early. I think in the playoffs, because you're not going to have as much volatility, you're not going to have as much line movement. It kind of behooves you to get all of your information and then maybe not make your plays on game day, but definitely later in the week. Dave, you are on basically every show in America at this point. So you've been already 2 days in collecting plenty of information. Anything ring your bell? Because for me, I have a couple numbers that I'll throw down to the listeners when we wrap up covering this first game. But the early lean for me is to the Titans for a couple different reasons, maybe Henry notwithstanding. What are you looking when you look at this game? Because I want the Bengals to win for what it's worth. Like, I want the Bengals going all the way. Cincinnati, I don't know, man. What are you seeing, Dave?
They're 150 to 1 to win the Super Bowl right now. 151 on 150 to 1 on FanDuel right now. This is the team that I think would be the biggest surprise to get to the Super Bowl. Yet, I learned a lot by watching them play that game against the Raiders. We had it on in the dugout. The kids had a game. We had it on in the dugout because the kids are kind of caught up in, like, we have a team and they're in the playoffs. And it was a showcase, so I didn't mind. And I was kind of interested myself because I wanted to see if the game went over the total. So I was like, all right, what's going on? Hey, yep. Fastball inside. Go ahead. Go. I'm calling the pitches. I'm watching the game. It was hilarious. But I think Tennessee's going to win this game. Now the line. It's a perfect line. And making this number, it's either 3 or 3.5 and 47. That's the total. Like how does the game play out? Tennessee can win a low-scoring game. Tennessee can win a high-scoring game. I don't think Cincinnati can win a low-scoring game. That's the one that I look at and I go, okay, this plays out. Tennessee wins 23-17 or 24-21. They could cover. They could not. Cincinnati wins. I mean, this is going to be a tremendous performance and a huge growth opportunity for maybe the coolest quarterback in the NFL, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is, you want to talk about that's my quarterback?
Swag.
I want that guy. I want that guy. You see him in a post-game press conference
with the glasses? Oh, my God.
I'm on the hunt for them right now. I got to find the glasses. 100% I'm finding those glasses, and 100% I'm going on one of these shows with them glasses on, and I got to find a cigar too. I don't have a humidor. I know CH probably does, but I'm going to find a cigar and the glasses. I want Cincinnati to win like you. I think it'd be a great story. Would upset the whole, AFC thing. I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with you. And initially what I wanted to do was be able to come out and make a case for the Bengals, because just like you, I want them to win. I think that this is one of the more, likely upsets that could happen. But just when I started diving into these numbers, I just don't know if it will. I'll throw some of these and then we'll move on to the next game. Titans, I got these off of ATSrankings.com. Titans are a decent 10-7 against the spread. They're actually right behind the Bengals, who are 5th best in the NFL thanks to their extra game. They're 11-7 ATS. But Cincinnati, they're going on the road. They're one of the best road teams in the NFL. They just got a nice road win. They're 6-2 against the spread, 75%, 3rd in the league. Even more impressive than, the small sample size there. They exceed the spread in those games as an underdog on the road, nearly 10 points per game. So, I mean, that's not too bad. So that was their numbers just on the road. 8 of those games that I just laid out there, they're 6-2 ATS record. 5 of them, they were underdogs on the road, 4-1 against the spread, covering the number by 11. So when they're dogs, they play pretty good. But here's what kept me off the Bengals and why I had to stop the case that I was making for them. This is the first time this season Cincinnati will be having a rest disadvantage. The team that they're playing is on longer rest than they are. It's the 3rd time this year that the Titans have rest advantage. And the 2 other games, how about 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread? Okay, it's only 2 games. In those games, the Titans had the rest advantage, margin of victory of 25 points, covering the closing number by 19.8 points. So yes, small sample size, so it's not really quite actionable information. But for those reasons, I got to be with you guys. I got to lean with the Titans. So make it a unanimous one. I don't feel good about it, but thought those numbers were at least decent, Dave, as people are trying to get some info going through the week.
Absolutely.
So we'll keep on moving here, boys. We got the Packers and the 49ers, another kind of like a rivalry game, a history game, if you will, as the Packers 5.5-point favorites, total 47.5, depending on where you're looking, kind of around that number at least. CH's favorite number, 5.5. So we'll save CH's thoughts for last in this one. For me, Dave, it's injury concerns. We need a little bit more info as far as pulling out money to bet on this game. But as I just dive in, it looks like, this has to be that spot, or not has to be, but likely is that spot that the Niners just kind of run out of steam, right? Because if it weren't for Mike McCarthy going full Mike McCarthy, are we even talking about the 49ers this week? Probably not. The drive was looking pretty good until they tucked it and ran it up the middle. Don't know what the hell they were thinking. Well, I do think, the Niners, they should be at least able to score in this game thanks to the meh defense for the Packers. I hate riding narratives, Dave, but isn't it hard not to hop on the Aaron Rodgers revenge tour narrative, the last ride narrative? And they are 2nd best in the league against the spread, especially at home, 7-1 against the spread.
Yep.
Niners 6-4 against the number. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Packers. I liked it a lot better when you were getting it around 4.5 when it opened, but that basically got zapped up like that.
Yep.
What are you thinking in this game? Packers 5.5, total 47.5 when the Niners are coming to town against the rested Green Bay Packers.
Never bet these games early. I never do. I always tell people wait because you just don't know. But you see what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the throwback A's jersey because it's the only green jersey I got in the repertoire. But I'm wearing a Packers hat. And I think the Packers are the best team in the NFL. I mean, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to win this weekend. I think they're going to win next weekend. I'm more concerned if they get the Rams than if they get Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Oh, I thought if I had it ready for the next game, I would be ready to go. I got to be flipping.
Jump the gun a little bit. Had to jump the gun because.
Well, you can jump the gun when we're in the gun.
Exactly.
Allow.
You fire them all at the beginning. We try to fire shots here as we go. I think Green Bay covers the number. Again, the total's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's 47 or 48, and they put 48. And now some books have come back to 47.5. I don't know how the game plays out specifically. I just think these two teams have battled so much in the past, and Green Bay won that game late in San Francisco. They got over that hump because a lot of times they would go out there, and that would be the team that would take out Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Not in Lambeau. Green Bay, lay it.
Boom. It's 5.5, CH. Are we going early? Are we going to be some early chalk-eating weasels and go with the favorites unanimously? I mean, you love those 5.5s. I know you want to lay it, CH. What do you got for the folks?
I'm sitting here trying to find a way to take the 49ers. And I just can't. I mean,
It's hard.
Dave said it. This is the best team in football, right? Yeah. Oh, teaser? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll tease them. Absolutely. I would take San Francisco getting 11.5.
11.5
Done.
now.
Sign me up.
Let's do the Saturday teaser then. Cincinnati up to 9.5. Let's take the underdogs up. It was all the chalk going the week ahead.
Yeah.
Why not fade it? That's a little
You're probably right.
teaser
Yep.
for you on Saturday.
Yeah, you're probably right. But as far as this game, I mean, not knowing about Nick Bosa and if he's going to play and what his situation is, that's a big cog on the other side of the field. But I don't know if it matters, to be honest with you. I'm going Green Bay.
I will say I've never been in the locker room with him, so I don't know how big his cog is, but we'll move on to the Sunday game. CH. And but no, hey, we're going a non-wongable teaser. So people are saying, those square motherfuckers. If it hits, hey, that money's all green. We're going non-wong for the Saturday games. Have a little fun. We got the Buccaneers and the Rams. Surprisingly, I think good game. You know, I don't know if the Cardinals, if I would be as juiced up if the Cards got through, but the Rams, a little bit of a statement. I mean, that defense was flying around last night. Kyler Murray looked like he didn't know which way was up. Usually his legs can kind of contend that pass rush. That pass rush sucked him through and kept him in that pocket. Forget about it. And the way to beat Tom Brady, what do? You try and pressure him. I still don't know if I can make a case for the Rams. CH, you know this guy better than anybody in Tom Brady. And 3 is the line. Buccaneers, the home chalk. Total was 48. It's up to 49. Still, that total to me seems a little bit low. Maybe even like a little bit of an overreaction to, I don't want to say it was low scoring last night, but the lower total that it ended up coming through in that Rams and Cards game. CH, what are you thinking when you see Tom Brady on the field up against Matt Stafford?
I'm thinking we're going to see Brady again next week too. So I think, Newby, you brought this up last week, fading the Monday night game, right? Whoever plays Monday night, fade him next week. The Rams played last night. They've got to fly across the country to Tampa Bay. So they lose their Saturday. They're going to get in on Saturday. They got to play on Sunday, fly back, all the travel, plus a short week. Tampa Bay played at home last week. I can't see any way that Tampa Bay doesn't win this by a field goal. I know you're shocked, but I'm going with Tampa.
Yeah, I'm. That was the one that I already had written down before the show ever even started. I saw the Bucs were in there, but I hate to just like hop on here and be like favorite. And I'm not just doing it because of how it was last week. Like, if I'm just trying to pick the winner, take the spread out of it, how can I think the Rams are going to win this game? Dave, do you have a case that can be made? I mean, you're not too far from LA. Are these dogs barking as Rams are heading on to Raymond James Stadium?
I like the under.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Defenses.
Okay. I think this is going to be the the one that seems so easy to go over. I mean, this is what Tampa does, right? This is going to be a nasty football game. And I thought the line would be higher. I thought the line would be on the other side of 3. I thought Tampa should be 3.5 or 4. When it came 2.5, obviously the money's going to lay it to the 3. I don't think they're moving off the 3. They'll be easy to do it because now that it's established, they can go to 3.5 and go get the Rams money. I'm going to make it not unanimous. And I love the creamsicle. I mean, they should bring back the creamsicle for this. They should both wear the throwback jerseys and go old school. Both would be awesome. It's going to be a good uniform matchup. Tampa maybe will wear the whites again at home, which again kind of looked good on TV against the Eagles. The Eagles got to wear the green, but they didn't perform. I think it's a close game, and I think it is a field goal game. Wouldn't surprise me totally if the Rams won. It will surprise me if Stafford doesn't throw a pick. He didn't throw a pick last night, but they ran and ran and ran. And he basically said, I'm not showing Tampa nothing. We're winning this game. We don't have to do anything. Cooper Kupp, if you had Cooper Kupp props, you got kicked in the cup last night. You got right between the legs. I mean, it went way under, caught way under his receptions. He did get a touchdown, so you got the token. But I think the Rams are live, so I'll take the points. I'll be the dissenting opinion on this game.
And I hope you're right, because so when I was getting prepped up for the show here, here's what I was able to find is that the Bucs 6-1 against playoff teams, while the Rams are 3-5 against playoff teams. Now that's not factoring in the spread, so you're taking the points. That I don't hate as much. But if you're looking at DVOA, so that's from the Football Outsiders, that's one of the metrics. You know, Brad Howe always bringing up that DVOA stuff. Number 1 offense in the league, even with what the Cowboys did, was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're always better at home. And if you look at the Rams, they started hot, but they end the year 14th in offensive DVOA. So, you know, there's some defensive concerns, there's some injury concerns, but at the end of the day, doesn't this conversation ultimately have to boil down to Stafford versus Tom Brady? And I don't think anybody wants to not back Tom Brady. Here's some stats before we move on to the last game of Action Network. Lifetime, Tom Brady as a favorite of 7 or fewer points, 74, 48, and 7, excuse me. So that's 61%. In coin flip games, that's a line that is 3 or fewer points in either direction, 35, 23, and 4. That's factoring in the regular season. In the playoffs, in those type of games, 9 and 3. That is 75% ATS for Mr. Tommy Terrific. And they're covering those games an average of 6.2 points in his last 6 of those games. Do I want the Rams to win? I'm right there with you, Dave. Yes, I do. But does the NFL want Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game?
Yes,
you know they do. I'll lay the points with Tom Brady in this one. He does it again. It's amazing. Go back to the Super Bowl, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. You're amazing. All right. So there you go, Dave. You save us from the unanimous on Tommy Terrific there. Chiefs are taking on the Bills in what, in my opinion, is the game of the week. Chiefs -2.5 favorites. The total, a stout 55. Oh my goodness. Dave, I mean, is the story in this game the total, or is the story in this game the matchup? I mean, you can attack this game so many different ways, and regardless, it's gonna, I hope, live up to the billing. They rarely do, but I got my fingers crossed this one can. What are you thinking when you see 2.5 for the Chiefs, when you see the total of 55?
When they had this game in the regular season, this was my total of the week. It was over, and it went over. So I was so impressed again with Buffalo, but they took out a lot of aggression on a lot of years of getting their asses kicked. I mean, they didn't take their foot off the gas. They didn't care about putting plays on tape. They threw the fat guy touchdown up 35. I mean, just light them up. Okay. They got to go on the road to Kansas City where they've already won. Kansas City, though, they were down. It was 0-0. They were down 7-0 to Steelers. And then they said, yep, throw it to Kelsey. And Kelsey opened things up for everybody else. It was 21-7, and they were gone. And the Chiefs knew that they got the Bills. We got 2-3. We got the Bills. That's it. Lines, again, it's perfect. I said you could put it 3, take bets on the Bills. put it 2, take bets on the Chiefs.
Which we are starting to see twos popping up across the screen, almost painted too.
Yes. So they put it 2.5 and the money came on the Bills. I think this is people saying the Bills are for real. There's people saying I'm taking the Bills on the money line because I got the Chiefs to win the AFC ticket as well. Starting to see the thing hedge. Apparently, this is whoever wins this game is going to the Super Bowl. This is the AFC championship game before the AFC championship. That's the narrative that I think you'll hear. And if you say you heard it here, say you heard it here when you do your own shows. This is the narrative that the winner of this game is going to represent the AFC in the championship because I said it. I didn't hear it nowhere else, but I'm assuming that's what people are going to say. I like the team that lost the first game. I like them in the second game. I think Kansas City finds a way to win. This would be a tremendous win by Buffalo. And if Cincinnati wins, Buffalo wins, that means Buffalo hosts Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship. You could punch the Bills' ticket then. They ain't losing a home game. They throw all the dildos on the field. They used to do that. They still do that. Like that place is going to be impossible for a road team to win. They can go beat Tennessee, though. If they win this game and Tennessee wins, they can go and beat that team. They have to beat Kansas City. If they do, I might actually go get a Bills hat. I don't have a Bills hat. I might actually go get a Bills hat if they win this week. I don't think they are. I'm going Kansas City.
Now, CH, I'm sure that you look at this game and you just figure, the Bills maybe poured it on. They all expended it last week in the win that they had over the Pats. Now, is that what you're thinking, or am I just reading a little bit too much into the New England blood you have in you? How are you attacking this game, my man?
So, first of all, I wish we had talked about this one before the Bucs game because this one makes me nauseous. Just thinking about I have to pick one of the two teams in the conference that I hate the most. If we had talked about this and then came back with Brady, I'd feel a little bit better. But no, we're going to leave a sour taste in my mouth here with this game. Again, I couldn't decide on this before the show, and I decided during the show that I was going with Kansas City. And one of the reasons is I think the Bills were too excited about winning a wild card game last week.
There's something to
guys. Hey, Buffalo, you got to win 3 more fucking games before you celebrate. Okay. Winning a wild card game at home, not a big deal. And I think that Kansas City's been there. Andy Reid's been there. They've won. Mahomes has won. There's a big difference there. And I think this might be a little bit of a rude awakening for the Bills. So I am going to go with Kansas City to win this game. And
love it. I mean, you make out the perfect case there. Now, I will say before we get to one total, one side, one prop, because my side is coming from this game. So I'll wait and save a little time here. Bills in a teaser, the gift of the year, the absolute gift of the year. It is wongable, even though it's not quite since the total's a little high. Bills up in a teaser. I absolutely love it, boys. So there's a little actionable info, which brings us to the actionable info to end all actionable info. Beautiful cash considerations, listeners. It's time for one total, one side, and one prop. That's right. That's right. That's right. You know when you hear that song, it's money-making time on the Cash Considerations podcast. We all sweep the side. I end up pushing on my total, though I will say, like, there were 46.5s out there, so I gave it at 46. But if you pushed, you really weren't trying. Don't listen to what I say. Just listen to the thought and try and go get the better number. So you had the Gronk touchdown. So I guess I got to go first again. I had the Bills. I'll make it nice and as succinct as possible. I'm starting with the total. That 55 points, boys, in that Bills and Chiefs game is a shit ton of points. And I still don't think it's enough points, but I only have a few more weeks of one total, one side, one prop. So I'm going back to the tout totals. You know I had to do it, Dave. I am going over 10.5 points in the first quarter. It is
Love it.
plus 118 on FanDuel. Both of these teams come into this divisional game matchup top 5 in first quarter scoring. And that's even with the Chiefs being number 1 in the league, 7.2 points per game. They didn't score a single first quarter point against Pittsburgh. They were kind of sleepwalking through. Once they got punched in the mouth, they woke up a little bit. Buffalo, on the other hand, they average over a touchdown in the first quarter as well. And they have been rolling as of late. Over 12.7 first quarter points per game in their last 3. Give me the over in the first quarter. It's 10.5 on FanDuel, and it's some plus money. I bet you that changes by the kickoff of the game on Sunday. My side, I kind of alluded to it there. I'm riding it till the wheels come off. Give me the Bills plus the points, plus 2.5. I'll even make a little hot take here in one total, one side, one prop. If you're going to give me points with the eventual AFC representative in the Super Bowl, that's right. I said it. I'm taking it all day long. Buffalo as an away underdog, small sample size, 2-1 this season, but they're covering the spread in those games over 10 points. These teams played back in week 5, like Dave alluded to earlier, 38-20 win for the Bills. So you're going to hear this narrative coming up. The Chiefs are looking for revenge. Chiefs are looking for payback. Whatever that payback is gets trumped by a 38-24 defeat in the AFC Championship game. I don't think the Bills laid it on just to lay it on. I think they're trying to make a statement. McDermott is the one who's on the revenge tour. Maybe the Rodgers narrative getting a little overrated where McDermott is getting overlooked. Give me Bills plus 2.5, my side. And my prop, gentlemen, I'm going Dawson Knox anytime touchdown. It is plus 200. He is the tight end of the Bills. I had the nice winner on Gronkowski last week. And the thing is, I think you're getting some nice plus money on this because if you just look at the metrics, the Chiefs have been pretty good against tight ends this season defensively. Their defense has been up and down, but they've only allowed 6 touchdowns through the air to tight ends. However, one of those touchdowns was in the first meeting. Dawson Knox, he had 3 receptions for 117 yards against this Chiefs defense, a touchdown through the air. And for good measure, it still counts if he gets it on the ground. He had a rushing touchdown against the Chiefs as well. So a 2-1 price, a sprinkle in a game that has a 55 total, sets up to have a lot of scoring. Give me Dawson Knox to get in the end zone, plus 200. Give me the Bills plus 2.5 and make it a 3-team same game parlay over 10.5 in the first quarter in the Bills and Chiefs game. Now you guys get to fight over it. You both got your sides right. So, CH, you went first last week. I mean, you were kind of rolling. You know what? I want to see you knock a home run after we both get on base. Dave, give the folks that total, that side, that prop, in any order that you really want.
All right. I came on wearing the green. Makes my eyes pop sometimes too, but the blue. But, you know, I'm on Packers for the side. I think the Packers – I was going to go Kansas City, but you made a pretty good case there. So, for the purposes of the show – I'm going Green Bay. I think they win. I think they cover. Up to 7 is good. The game could fall 7, but 5.5 right now. 6 in some places. Get it before it gets got. And you don't push. But Green Bay's winning this game by at least 7 points. Total, we're going back. We're going back just like we did back in the day. We're going to everybody's going to have a piece of this Buffalo Kansas City game. I already made reservations for everyone in the house. Do not make any plans for Sunday. It's 3:30 Pacific. We're doing what newbie does all season on Sundays. We're watching football. I'm not cooking. I ain't making no food. We're going to bring food in most likely, or we're going to have grandma or pap cook some shit on the grill. So I don't know what. I'm going over the total. All right. 55. I want to see it. I'm excited to see it. I think they're going to score. Both teams get in the 30s. I hope it's a shootout. Kansas City 34-31. Kite's coming to mind. Could be Buffalo 34-31. That's 65. The total's 55 over. This prop thing has me stymied again because I'm looking on FanDuel and they got all these ridiculous props that you can only bet one way. But, all right, I'm coming up with 2. I might let you guys decide. Either Cooper Kupp or Mike Evans to have 125 plus yards receiving. It's plus 125. Or A.J. Brown and Julio Jones to combine for 150 yards receiving. Not crazy about that number, but the price is plus 150. I think I like both. So we're coming down to the end of the season. Sometimes you got to ride it in there. So we're going to give you 2 props because why not? It's our show.
Why not?
So we're getting involved. Let's do that. And then maybe you follow along on the Twitter. Maybe we'll put up another poll. Put up a poll over the weekend. We got over, 300 something votes in just, 6 hours. Came to me and I posted it. Maybe we'll think about it. Maybe trade a text or 2 between us on our thing, and we'll put it up with 2 days and see how many we can get votes on and different things like that. So that's my side, Green Bay. My total over in the Buffalo and Kansas City game. Props. We're gonna go receiving. We're gonna go with 2 games, 2 different teams. Cooper Kupp and Mike Evans in that game to have 125 yards receiving plus 125. And A.J. Brown and Julio Jones to combine for 150 yards receiving in Tennessee, plus 150. Back to you, cousin Cooter.
Boom. Well, thank you very much, Dave. And I'm going to send it right from me, right on back to my man, CH. CH, I know that you got a 3-0 week in you any second right now. And I think this is going to be that week. What do you got for the folks, my man?
I think I could go 3-0. If we go like another 8 or 10 weeks in this football season, I could probably pull out a 3-0 at some point. So my side, Jesus, I'm going with Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
I'm going with Tampa Bay minus the 3.
Yeah.
A couple of the big things that just still jump out at me: 7-1 against the spread at home, plus the Rams flying across country on the short week. I think it's Tampa Bay minus 3. I'm going to give you my prop next because it ties right back into my side. I'm juicing that to Tampa Bay minus 8. Why minus 8, you ask? Because it's plus 220. And plus 220 beats newbies plus 215. I am running out of weeks. One of these weeks. I am going to get it one of these weeks.
I love it.
My total. Oh, I should mention, by the way, if you remember when I did my prop last week, I had 7 different props written down and I couldn't figure out which one to go with.
I hit like 6 and 1.
1 out of the 7 hit. And for all those of you who took Darrell Williams to be the leading rusher last week at plus 6,500, I'll have you know that he only had 39 other guys outrush him for the week. So we were close.
Nice
He did
CLV though, CH. Nice CLV.
There was some serious CLV. He finished with 1 carry for 4 yards, but he was close. He was pretty close. So yeah, bad week there. So my total for this week, since we're all on this game, I'm going with the Buffalo KC game too, but I honestly think this number's overinflated artificially.
It is.
Because one team won by 30 points, the other team won by 31. That's 51 combined margin of victory between those 2 teams. This number's
31
55.
and 30, 31 and 30, 60.
31 and 20. Sorry, 31 and 20.
Okay. All right.
I was doing it from here. It's not on the spreadsheet in front of me because I was toggling over trying to keep up with your props and all this shit that's going on. So, so I'm going with the Bills in Kansas City under 55. So Tampa Bay minus 3. What's that?
Crossing the streams.
We are crossing the streams. We are crossing the streams.
Okay.
We are.
He's out for blood. He wants to beat my 215.
I do.
He wants to fade your total. I'm loving this CH.
I do.
Man.
So Tampa Bay minus 3. My prop teases Tampa Bay up to minus 8 at plus 220, and then the Bills Kansas City game under 55.
Now, before we wrap in the gun, just to give a little credence to CH, I'll throw it back to you in just a second, CH. I heard this theory earlier this week that bad guys were coming in on the over just so that everybody chases that steam. And then before it posts, right before the game, they're going to come by and buy in on the under. So have you seen things like that happen in the book, especially come playoff time, Dave?
Oh, there's so much manipulation sometimes in these playoff games. I'm not convinced who even bet that Eagles stuff to move that down to get it.
It was probably that same group that was hammering them all year long.
Yeah,
right?
but
it was always right before that closing line. They would just hammer the Eagles.
Yeah, but then they gave people a super bargain with Buccaneers at 7. That line should have never dropped. I would have sitting there and taken all that Eagle money, not move the line, and just say keep coming, because you can't give it away. I mean, you just can't give away when you need the favorite like that and you move it down. it's a really interesting thing. And I mean, I've had ticket brokers come in and bet these games for $100,000 because they have tickets. Like the one guy did it, in Philly. He had Eagles tickets and he came in and bet the Atlanta Falcons when they were playing in the playoff game a few years ago. And I was like, hey man, we need your identification. So what, are you from Philly? He's like, no, I'm a ticket broker. And I have tickets for the game. So I'm offsetting my cost of if they lose, I'll win the bet and I'll still make the money. But if the Eagles win, then I'll sell the tickets and make more money. So I'm like, oh, so he was like Mattress Mac before Mattress Mac. And I called the risk guys at the room because I was still at the Venetian. And I'm like, take the bet. And they're like, well, who is the guys? He's Sharp. I'm like, he's a ticket broker from Philly who's offsetting his costs. So you don't know why these lines move and all this stuff. So just a little picture into that. Yes, this could be a setup to take a game, an NFL playoff game. You get to go under 57.5 or 58. Sounds like a dream. It sounds like the right side until you watch these guys perform on Sunday and you go, man, nobody knows shit.
So instead of it being Mattress Mac, it was like sleeping bag stew or something like that. It was.
Oh yeah.
It's like Cousin Cooter. It's like his lesser known cousin. CH, before we wrap in the gun, did you have someone you wanted to throw in there, my man?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to piggyback on your prop too, newbie. You went with Dawson Knox anytime touchdown at plus 200. If you really feel good about that, he's plus 1,600 to be the first touchdown. So if you really think he's going to score, bet the same amount on the first touchdown. Maybe he scores later in the game and pays for it. Actually, more than pays for it at plus 200. But at plus 1,600 to score the first, why not?
At the worst, break even. Look at that. That's some actionable info right there as we wrap it. We're rapidly approaching the end of the show, rapidly approaching the end of the NFL season. This is the most round-tuned football segment this side of the Mississippi. Cousin Cooter getting kind of sad as the season's rolling on. Back to you, Dave. We got one more order of business.
He sounds pretty sad.
He's getting depressed. They don't have therapists where he's from. They just have gin and tobacco, wacky tobacco, but
moonshine.
Used to work on it a little bit. So Dave, take a minute time. What do we got, my man?
Are we not going to do Carl's Corner really quick?
Well, what do we got? We got we're
Kool-Aid
approaching. Well, you want to do a little Kool-Aid action?
We got to do a Kool-Aid discussion really fast.
You want it, you got it. Curveball. Dave's in the A's jersey. He's throwing heat. It's time for Carl's Corner. And for that, we go to the man himself. It's Carl Hascall.
Oh, how about that? So
I just read the notes, boys. I just read the chat just now. Sorry. I did throw a deuce. That was like a 12-6.
That was. It was 12-6.
This is what
I was reading something else. I'm trying to find a Kool-Aid guy's name. I'm trying to. You guys know his name?
So I don't know his name, but for full peel back of the curtain, because we tell the truth like nobody else does. We are as transparent comes. When we started this episode, we were talking, we said, we're going to aim for about 70 minutes on the episode. So while we were going in the gun, while we were going one total, one side, one prop, I dropped into our chat here, hey, if we're aiming for 70, should we scrap Carl's Corner? He says yes, and Dave throws it to Carl's Corner. But I think what we learned from that, Dave, is
this is an over show, boys.
You always go over the 70-minute mark. CH, it's Carl's Corner.
Well, since you mentioned it, the Kool-Aid man's name is Frankie D. Kool-Aid. It's hyphenated, D apostrophe or apostrophized, D apostrophe Kool-Aid. Frankie D. Kool-Aid. His alias is Pitcher Man. Come on, Pitcher Man.
Tremendous.
And then some other stuff in here that I can't pronounce.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, one of the things that we've kind of kicked around here, and I think if you are a regular listener to the show, you kind of know that the three of us have drank some Kool-Aid of some certain people. I've got my certain Binky that used to be up here for a long time that's now down in Tampa Bay, right? I'm not going to say his name. I see newbie reaching for the button. I'm not going to say, no, he hit it anyway.
It still counts.
But I think we know that I'm pretty confident that Tom Brady can do no wrong. Am I a big fan of the whole TB12 thing with his trainer? Probably not. Am I a big fan of him, moving to Tampa Bay? Absolutely not. But I let it go. After 20 years, you let some things go. So it kind of got me to thinking, whose Kool-Aid have we drank beyond just the ones that are obvious, I think, for the three of us.
Right.
So Newbie, I'm going to go to you first because I feel like I always go first when I do these, as Newbie holds up his 21 jersey. Newbie, whose Kool-Aid have you drank?
Joel the Process Embiid. I mean, that one's rather obvious, and that sounded like Billy Madison doing a Joel Embiid impersonation. But for me, maybe some of you guys don't know. I mean, you know that I'm like a cinephile. I love movies, and some of the cheesiest movies that are out there, some of the most formulaic crap that you can find is Marvel movies. What Kevin Feige, the director of Marvel, or at least the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what he has done over a decade of storytelling and interconnecting movies and having little Easter eggs tie into this movie and that movie, Kevin Feige can do no wrong for me. And you guys also know that I absolutely love cooking. There's this dude on YouTube. If you ever have a chance, check out his videos. He's fucking hilarious. He's from Canada. His name is Matty Matheson, and he's this big husky Canadian dude, always wearing Grateful Dead stuff. His voice is high like this, and he's just getting so excited about cooking. I love me some Matty Matheson. For Christmas, my girlfriend got me his cookbook, his second edition of his cookbook, some of his cookware. I have certainly drank in the Kool-Aid of the high-pitched Matty Matheson YouTube celebrity. Well worth checking out his cooking videos for a laugh and for some pretty damn good recipes too. So it's Marvel movies and Matty Matheson's, and it's an all M edition of Kool-Aid drinking for me, CH. Love the question, man.
An all M edition. Dave, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but the Kool-Aid man's species is Urachus frigidaxulium. Frigidaxulium. In case you're wondering what species he is. He is I can't even say it. I'm not even going to try.
Phylum is that? Yeah.
I love
Dave,
it.
whose Kool-Aid have you drank?
So, I'm wearing this throwback A's jersey, and Ricky Henderson was the first guy. I was, 9 years old. I got on this team, and it was the A's, and I was all about Ricky Henderson. Just as a kid, I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And I could see him on, This Week in Baseball. The obvious answer is in Pittsburgh. I mean, it was all Pittsburgh stuff. And when Mario Lemieux got there, I mean, it was all about him. And that was the obvious answer as well. But I had an experience in 7th grade where I believed everything the teacher said, right? Everything. I just listened and listened and listened. And this guy's name was Mr. Lackitz. All right. And he was the coolest teacher. He was probably smoking weed in between classes. He had a big, long handlebar mustache, cool as could be. And he taught me how to draw and to do a lot of different things. And I just loved talking to him. And I drank his juice because he told me we had a project in 8th grade where he was going to sell buttons. He had a button machine maker. So I went out and sold more buttons because if you made the most money in this project, you got an A in the class, and it was an award. So I went around with circle pieces of paper and said, design your button. Mr. Lackitz is going to make us buttons. You can have a button, and it's only $1, $2, whatever it was. And I sold hundreds of buttons. Every kid in the class in the school was going to get a button. And Mr. Lackitz said, just submit the designs. We'll be able to print them, blah, 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 blah. The day came to go pick up the buttons. He said, I don't have any buttons. I said, what are you talking about, man? He goes, I don't have any buttons. No more. We didn't have a button machine. It's a good lesson in life, and he got me. So I stopped drinking Kool-Aid that day, and I didn't believe anybody. And that's why I say nobody knows shit, because I think I go back. All these things are coming back to me as I'm doing more shows, jotting down notes to write the book, do the movie, whatever's going to come. And I was like, why do I always question everything? Mr. Lackitz, 8th grade, the button machine. I still am pissed off about it. You people that listen to the show know about it. Mr. Lackitz was a cool teacher. I didn't even want to talk to Mr. Lackitz again after that. So drinking the Kool-Aid, no more drinking Kool-Aid after that. Although I'm pretty much enjoying the Penguins as they go now. And if the Pirates ever get good again, the We Are Family Pirates, done with that. Sports-wise, non-sports-wise, Newbie brought a good point to mind. Rocky movies, drank the juice. I mean, it's all over. Philadelphia, I wanted to one things I wanted to do when I got there was go see the statue, run the steps, because everybody wants to do that. So Rocky all in. And then the one comedian that I love comedians and I love watching people do, it's Steve Harvey now. Whatever that guy says, does, whatever, I'm in. But back in the day when I was a little kid, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, just priceless. Whatever he was pouring, Kool-Aid wise, I was drinking, had to see the movie, watch him 100 times. Still fall for the banana in the tailpipe because of Eddie Murphy.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I watched that delirious VHS tape.
Oh
my God. I must have watched it 50 times. In that
Goonie
red
Goo Goo.
leather outfit. Goonie Goo Goo.
Oh my God.
I know you, Eddie. I know you.
I see you, Eddie.
I see you. I know you. We could do that all night, I bet. So just a little bit more information here. The Kool-Aid Man's first appearance was in July of 1954. That was his prototype. That was the prototype version, but his first official version wasn't until 20 minutes later. Somebody's telling me that the Kool-Aid people took 20 years to design this freaking Kool-Aid guy. Jesus, it's unbelievable.
Stands the test of time, though.
It stands the test of time. Yes, it does. So I've drank a little Kool-Aid myself. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but there's this quarterback that I think we may have beaten that to death for 52 episodes in a row before we blew it. But there's a couple other guys. There's a guy who was a DH that better be getting into the Hall of Fame here in a week. But Big Papi, I don't care what you were doing down in the Dominican when you got shot and who you were with and all that. Doesn't matter to me. You're still the Big Papi. You can do no wrong. In terms of products, I have developed an affinity for A&W Zero root beer, zero sugar. I have to force myself to only have one of these a day. I love it. I love it. I would drink a dozen of these a day if I could.
Wow.
I had a regular root beer last week. I hated it. This is fantastic. Big fan of A&W zero sugar. My last two go hand in hand. I have drank the Charleston Kool-Aid. I absolutely love it here. In 2 days from now, I think that they're going to have to call a SWAT team in to drag me out of this house and point me to the highway because I do not want to leave. Part of that is the second half of my Kool-Aid that I drank. Man, you've never had fried chicken until you've had it down here. I have had a fried chicken sandwich. I had chicken and waffles for the first time the other day. How have I missed chicken and waffles?
So good.
So Charleston and the fried chicken, I have drank your Kool-Aid. I don't know if there's a fried chicken flavored Kool-Aid, but I drank it if there is. It's unbelievable. I love this city, and we will be back soon. And that's my Kool-Aid there. Newbie, want to take us back to take a minute?
Gladly, Mr. CH. Another great question again in Carl's Corner. Drop us a line at Cash Consid Show. Email the show, cashconsidshow@gmail.com, and let us know whose Kool-Aid are you drinking. Back to you, Mr. Consigliere.
Oh, it's so good. The whole thing is so good.
Feels
I
good.
apologize for throwing you the curveball.
No, I
but as
love it.
always,
I don't, you're the one who has work to do. CH and I are just fucking around. So we don't give a shit.
Hey, no, I've got some important contributions over here. Did you know that Time Magazine included the Kool-Aid Man on a list of the top 10 creepiest product mascots?
I agree with that.
That's 10 years ago. In 2011.
He's just bursting through walls and shit. What if I was changing? He burst in. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. You know what I mean? Like, that's no good. You're going to see Aaron Rodgers' cog. It'll be no good if that happens. No good.
Cog.
I misheard. Yeah.
Is that with a G or a C? Did he say Gallo with a G? I love it. That's great stuff. Good way to hit the deuce the other way, boys. You smacked it right over the fence, opposite field. Excellent work with Carl's Corner in the gun, as always. Closing the show today, like we do every single week on the Take a Minute segment, where everybody gets a rant to take a minute. It doesn't have to be about sports. It can be. It doesn't have to be about life. It can be. It can be whatever you want. It's one thought, rant, again, whatever it is. We're going to go right back to UCH first. Newbie kicked us off with the Carl's Corner. You kick us off with Take a Minute, where, you're leaving South Carolina. You didn't bring the the wallet all the way down. But you get to take the wallet home. There it is. He's got it set to go. Make sure you pack all your shit before you go. If you find a way to move down, or go back, hey, I left my wallet. We got to go back. Oh, we're going to stay the whole other week. Might not be a bad move. Your take-a-minute segment, sir, at Carl Hascall starts in 3, 2, 1.
So it's funny. I've managed to turn my take a minute into two things every week. So the first thing I've got, Dave, here's my packing list.
Wallet.
Things I need to bring home.
There's one item.
It just says wallet. So I don't forget to bring the wallet home. The other thing is this is a preview of a future Carl's Corner, by the way. I think that there are some people who deserve to be nominated for Nobel Prizes. Ooh. That are very unsung people. Yeah, there's the scientists and all of the humanitarians, but there are also other people who deserve to be nominated, such as whoever the guy was at the cable companies, or in this case of this house here, the DirecTV company, who came up with the skip 30 seconds on the remote. There is nothing better than that, especially when your beloved football team is getting their asses kicked. There's a 40-second play clock, right? And when the clock is running, you hit that thing and you skip from 40 seconds to 10 seconds. And then they snap the ball. And you can watch Buffalo run another 8 yards, and you can hit the skip 30 seconds, and you can see them pass it another 37 yards. And if you skip enough 30 seconds, you can go through an entire football game in about 30 seconds. So yes, I did see the entire game the other night. I didn't miss a play, just like I said. But I also wore out the skip 30 seconds button, and I managed to watch the game in probably 45 minutes total. I couldn't tell you who the announcers were. I have no idea who it was, because after it was 14-0, I skipped a lot of announcer work. So whoever you are, skip ahead 30-second man. You deserve a Nobel Prize, and that is my minute.
I love it. That's a great way to watch a football game, but you don't really want to watch it. I should have been skipping ahead the second half of the Steeler game, and I wasn't. I did skip ahead of I didn't really watch much of the Eagles game. I was excited to come home and watch it. When I came home and saw the score, I was like, well, I don't really need to spend much time on this. So a very important feature. I like it. And don't forget your damn wallet when you go home, please. A lot of people are concerned about that. All right. Newbie, we call him Dan Alexander. He calls himself Dan Alexander. Dan Newbert, again, the executive producer of the show, co-host of the show. Philly guy, officially basketball season for you, representing JoJo Embiid. You can even do the voice. Still Eagles underneath. Eagles forever.
Heart on the
Eagles
sleeve, right?
Yeah, honestly. You always wear it. We wear all of our stuff on the sleeve. Your take-a-minute segment, sir, starts in 3, 2, 1.
Well, I actually had this one ready to go last week, and then I had to divert and kind of talk out the side of my mouth in what I'm about to speak about, because I had to destroy Carson Wentz. I had to put it to bed, the Wentz love affair. But even when I did that, it was all in jest. It was all in good fun, right? It was all, joking. I would never go on social media and throw vitriolic stuff at him. The thing that really had me being reflective on trying to be a little bit nicer in the world was, when unfortunately Bob Saget passed away a couple weeks ago. And this probably will surprise no listeners. I used to wake up every morning before school at 5 a.m. to watch the horrible steaming pile of shit that was Full House. I loved it. I'm like, I'm a loving kind of guy. I'm a hug you the first time I meet you kind of guy. So it shouldn't surprise you at all. I'm a big Full House fan. But, something that I learned then, and something that I continue to learn, is something that kind of Dave brought up pretty early on, and it's value every moment that you have with friends, with family, with people that you love, with people that you interact with. And I'm not saying life is sunshine and rainbows and be happy all the time. I mean, go back and listen to my take a minute last week. Anyone who is happy all the time, 24/7, and is all happy-go-lucky is probably a fucking psychopath with some crazy shit hiding in their closet. Mm-hmm. But a lesson that I learned from Mr. Sharapan, from Dave early on, is don't sweat the small stuff. Try and be caring, and above all, value every single minute that you get. It's a lesson I've really tried to focus on since I've been doing the show with you guys. Bob Saget passing away, unfortunately and untimely, kind of reminded me, but you never know when it's going to be your last. Value the moments and just try and be a little bit nicer. You don't got to be a fucking asshole on social media. What does that accomplish at the end of the day? Dave, people got to be a little bit nicer they got to listen to the consig a little bit more. That is my take a minute.
Thank you, sir. Excellent work. Well done. I reiterate all of that as well. Try to live like that every day. Got that reminder with the stroke, and it's been nothing but really appreciating it even more. I always did, but daily reminder, we can all use reminders. Excellent work. My take a minute segment.
I think CH, what did you want to throw in 1 second before Dave wraps us up here?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just need 3 more seconds. I wanted to make sure I didn't let this one go. In the Super Bowl 54 TV ad in 2020, the Kool-Aid Man alongside Mr. Clean appeared in a commercial for fellow Kraft Heinz product Planters. Shown as an attendee at the funeral of Mr. Peanut, his tears ended up causing a new baby Mr. Peanut to grow from the ground. Wow. So we have the Kool-Aid Man to thank for the baby Mr. Peanut. I'm done. Back to you, Dave.
That guy's providing that, not only the cherry and the grape and all that. He helped spawn another peanut.
He birthed the Planters baby. He birthed it.
Man, oh man,
I'm glad I wasn't in that operating room. Good
man. Oh my, yeah. That guy's
peanut butter everywhere.
He's gonna have a big pair of nuts too. I mean, that's gonna.
I got it.
Oh my God. All right, my take a minute segment is going to be quick, simple. Kind of play off what Newbie said. Listen, you're supposed to be happy, right? You're supposed to be kind of, things aren't going to go your way, accept it. And then things are going to happen when they're supposed to happen. A lot of things are happening with this show. You guys listening, watching, again, subscribe on the YouTube channel. It helps us out. It helps the show grow. We're talking to some people. 2022 is going to be a big year for the 3 of us, for what we're doing and where we're going. But where I was on Saturday and Sunday was in the dugout coaching the softball team. Impact, Nevada, where it's a great name because you make an impact on kids' lives playing sports. And they get to watch the show that is me coaching in the dugout. I call every pitch. I'm a complete maniac in the coaching box. I get even more excited in the dugout. We hit a couple bombs in crucial times. I'm the first one out of the dugout with 2 times low high fives. I try to do the jump high five. I try not to turn an ankle. All this stuff goes on, and I'm having as much fun or more fun than every kid out there. I absolutely love the game, and I love being a coach. But sometimes things come up in these things. We got to play a pop-up behind first. Kelsey's over there. She makes the catch against the fence going back out towards right field. She's left-handed. Stops, plants her foot. There's a runner at third and 1 out. The coach sends the runner. I'm like, oh, he don't know. Runner starts running home. She throws the ball. It's up the baseline a little bit, but the catcher, KK, jumps out in front of the plate and short hops it. She's waiting for the runner to come home, and the ump goes like this with his arm. Raises it. You can't see it unless you're watching on the YouTube. Again, watch the show. If you're listening to the show, I got my right arm raised in the air. He says obstruction. She's out by 10 feet. The catcher, she slides, but she don't run into, there's no collision. My catcher's standing there with the ball. The girl tries to slide by her. She tags her out. She's dead to rights. We got an inning-ending double play. We're going to come in and whack this team. He goes, oh, obstruction. I said, Coach, hold on. What are you talking about? Run scores, obstruction, 2 outs. Batter, let's go. Timeout. What is she supposed to do? She came in front of the plate and caught the ball. Hey, sir, do you know the obstruction rule? I said, yeah, that wasn't obstruction. She was fielding the ball. She was in the runner's way without the ball. I said, that was the explanation? He said, yeah. I said, all right, no problem. I said, that was a terrible call. You missed it, but no problem. And I walked back towards the dugout. And in front of all the people in the stands and all the parents and all the other college coaches, he's like, Coach, that's your warning. And I was like, okay, buddy, it's a showcase. Like we're here for the kids. He couldn't wait I didn't get thrown out of the game, but I made it known to everybody that it was a terrible call. And after the game, I had the parents come up to me and say, Coach Dave, you were right. Like she wasn't in her way. I'm like, I know I was right. So after that inning ended, he came over to me and said, Coach, I said, listen, I have a question. How do I explain it to this kid in practice when I tell her she's got to make a tag? How do I tell her how to field the ball? And he goes, well, I'm not a coach. I'm an umpire. But I said, okay. And right then I thought, nobody knows shit. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This ump is calling the obstruction rule. The obstruction rule is bullshit, but the games this weekend aren't going to be, boys. Thanks again for watching the show. Thanks again for listening to the show. Follow along on the Twitter at CashConsid Show. Email us, cashconsidshow@gmail.com. For the boys, he's Dan Alexander at Newbie Talks. For Carl Hascall, he's at Carl Hascall. For myself, Dave Sharapan, I am at SportsBK Consig. Enjoy the games this week. We'll have our AFC and NFC championships. By the time we get together next week, drink some Kool-Aid. Guy's pretty cool. Talk to you next week.